Very distinguished members of the webinar, respected Dr. Krishna Kumar sir and Dr. Virakmat sir, and fellow speakers and distinguished participants. In the opening remarks, Dr. Krishna Kumar has flagged that the ornamental crops are perceived to be the major culprits in the spread of most of the concerns that we are addressing today, including the phytoplasmas. I am not an entomologist nor a pathologist, but I was drawn towards phytoplasma primarily because of my work, which I'm going to share with you briefly by introducing this topic in 6 different heads. I was working for the last 20 years on mutation breeding of ornamental crops. The bottommost, the picture that you are seeing, the Thaichin queen is the parent through which we could induce this much of variability using gamma radiation. And you can see the kind of variability in terms of colors, flower form, and flower shape. And while we are doing this, we were irradiating a number of varieties. One of the varieties that we chose was this pink colored variety, which is called as Ajay, developed at NBRI. When we irradiated, we got a large number of mutants. We got one of the, in the mutated population, we got this kind of variability, which is completely green. We were so excited because it is a novelty and there is no chrysanthemum variety which is green except for one variety which is available, that is in the top corner of the slide, that is called as Discovery. This variety rules the international market because it is very unique. We were so excited that this green mutant is going to be a game changer. We never had any reasons to suspect that it is a manifestation of phytoplasma. But our worst fears came true after all the mutants that I have shown to you, we used to regenerate these plants through ray flow rates. We had a very robust protocol through which we could regenerate those ray flow rates and establish the new color that we all witnessed. In this particular plant as well, we could successfully regenerate those plants and establish them in the field. Before that, we were acclimatizing these plants in the National Phytotron facility at Delhi. So once the plants that were regenerated and then established in the phytotron started reverting, then our worst fears came to reality. And this has forced us to investigate because we never faced this kind of reversions in all the experiments that we conducted for more than 10 years at that point of time. Only twice it happened, and that was expected in case of mutation breeding. So this particular incident has motivated me to work towards this, including some of my students. We have given this work while I was at IRA Delhi, and they have worked in close association with Dr. G.P. Rao and others in the pathology department. This I'm not going to spend much of time. Most of the speakers have already indicated that how the timelines were there in the phytoplasma research across the globe. And most of the manifestations that you have noticed in the previous presentations, they are more or less the same in case of ornamentals as well, which I'm going to show you in terms of visuals as well as. So this is in case of if phytoplasma manifestations are visible, in case of flowers, sometimes they are extremely beautiful and sometimes they are not. The beauty is fragile. So these are the manifestations in some of the ornamentals that you can see here in case of marigold, China's, chrysanthemum, gerbera, and chrysanthemum. In case of commercial flower crops, in case of gerbera, the complete flower turns green, which looks very attractive. And then the one more concern for us was most of these manifestations, they are so attractive that the nursery industry started selling them at a premium, stating that this is a new variant which is going to be like green or whatever the shape that it has taken. So this has alarmed us, and whenever we had a chance, I used to discuss with Dr. Krishna Kumar sir, and he has encouraged us to work on these aspects and also to create some of the awareness programs which I'm going to share later on. So these are some of the manifestations we have started recording from then in chrysanthemum. First symptom is that it loses its the typical serrated leaf margins, which becomes more or less unserrated. And this is a typical symptom in case of chain aster and periwinkle. The vegetative phase, once it is over, the floral phase turns green. And these are the multiple flower bud formations in case of chrysanthemum, which is again, the people think it is a novelty, but they do not know the background of this. And some of the nurseries, they started selling these plants, stating that you get multiple flower buds in this particular chrysanthemum variety. This is the close-up of that same flower. And here the another manifestation is that the flowers turn vegetative. Multiple vegetative shoots start forming in case of chrysanthemum flower buds, and they turn leafy, and then the plants start emerging from the flower buds. This is a purple top in case of chrysanthemum. In case of roses, when we started observing these, we expanded our observations even in the other crops that we were working at IRA. In case of some of the varieties of roses, we used to say these typical multiple bud formations emerging from the center of the flower, mostly from the reproductive region where the anthers and the stamens are lodged. From this particular portion, you will find a lot of flower buds emerging from the flower bud. This is in case of gerbera, completely, it turns green and it looks very, very attractive in terms of its formation as well as the color patterns. In case of China aster, you can detect it primarily because the pigmentation still remains. Therefore, you can see that the blend of the green color and the pink color. In case of marigold, we see this kind of manifestation. The flower stalk becomes flaccid, and it looks a broad flower bud or multiple flower bud appearance it takes. This is a virescens phyllodes in case of marigold. In case of gladiolas as well, you find a lot of symptoms like this, where the entire spike turns very bulky and it starts curving down. In case of ornamental plants which are propagated and sold as ornamental potted plants, the manifestations are many. In case of croton, petunias, ixoras, in case of jasmine and murraya, hibiscus, hydrangea, the range is enormous. Almost all the crops are infected, and unfortunately, it is being spread through the material that is being transported, as rightly pointed out by Dr. Krishna Kumar, from the nursery hubs. This is a typical symptom in case of lawn grasses. Lawn grass is a huge business. In India as well, it is a huge business where several tons of the lawn mats are being sent across the country from the nursery hubs. And in case of trees, again, the manifestations, as the previous discussion was going on, when it is visible, it is very interesting to see that in case of trees, it is at a mature stage. In case of the annual flower crops that we are seeing, it is more or less as soon as the plant attains the maturity in terms of physiological maturity.